In the misty veil of history, a figure quietly emerges from the pages of old books, carrying the breath of mystery and legend. That is Cao Bien, a prominent figure of the Tang Dynasty, who played a significant role in building and expanding the capital city of Daila. However, behind that colossal achievement lie rumors related to his use of geomancy to block the dragon veins of the Annam region. Legends about him are filled with magic, deep conspiracies, and many inexplicable things. What truth is hidden behind the dust of time? We will explore this story together in today's video. Building Daila, suppressing the dragon veins, Cao Bien and the two sides of a legend. In the cold land of Yuzhou, now modern-day Beijing, China, Cao Bien was born into a prestigious family, carrying the bloodline of a strong general. He was the grandson of Ao Rongwen, renowned under the reign of Emperor Shenzong of Tang, leaving a deep mark in the historical records of the Tang Dynasty. Born in the 9th century, Cao Bien not only inherited the iron spirit of his ancestors but was also endowed with both literary and martial talents. There are few records of his early life. It is only known that from an ordinary young man, Cao Bien quickly established his position among the military officials and was highly regarded by the Tang court. In Cao Bien, there are many contrasting aspects. He was a talented poet with emotionally rich improvisational masterpieces, and at the same time, a devotee of esoteric arts, constantly pursuing mysteries beyond human understanding. Thus, his journey was not just about battles or constructions, but also a story full of shadows, where light and darkness constantly intertwined. Cao Bien was a prominent figure in Tang history, leaving a deep imprint in Annam during the century he governed and built. At that time, Cao Bien was both a ruling official and an outstanding military strategist, hoping to shape the complex relationship between the two regions during the decline of the Tang Dynasty. Amid the chaotic situation, as the dynasty weakened amidst internal rebellions and external invasions, Cao Bien emerged like a bright star in the dark night sky. In 863, when the Nanzhao army surged down to plunder Annam, the Tang court fell into crisis. Cao Bien, with his strategic skills and courage, was entrusted with the task of leading troops to attack the enemy. The victory at Anrong in 864 not only reclaimed the lost territory but also elevated his name to the peak of fame. In immense joy, Emperor Yizong of Tang appointed him as the Annam Protectorate General and Pacification Commissioner, and later as the military governor of Jingdai, granting him authority over both Jiaozhou and Guangzhou. From then on, he became a powerful right-hand man of the Tang Dynasty, a general guarding the southern frontier, where dangers were always imminent. When it comes to the land of Vietnam, Cao Bien's role takes on a different hue, both bright and shadowy. To the people of Annam at that time, he was a foreigner, representing the rule of the northern court. Although a pillar of the Tang Dynasty, Cao Bien's name only began to spread far and wide when he set foot in the distant southern land, where fate had predetermined mysterious turns. It is from here that the story of Cao Bien is not just the journey of a mere general, but also a legend that transcends the boundaries of reality. But that path was not only paved with glory, though hated by some. Cao Bien's actual contributions in Vietnam cannot be denied. Daila's citadel, with a perimeter of nearly 6.6 kilometers and a height of over 8 meters, was built under Cao Bien's skilled hand. Not only is it a vivid testament to his architectural and organizational talents, but it is also considered the greatest success in the career of this Tang general. This structure was not just a military fortress but also became a solid foundation for the later capital Bangla, where Emperor Li Kai saw a golden dragon rising from the river, symbolizing the prosperity and power of the dynasty. Cao Bien, with his strategic vision and superior techniques, had the earth raised high and the foundations reinforced with durable materials. while utilizing the flow of the Talich River to create a natural defense system. The sturdy walls, surrounding moat, and well-arranged gates made this structure not only meet military purposes, but also align with Feng Shui principles, a land of dragons and tigers. It was from this foundation that, after ascending the throne in 1010, Emperor Li Kai chose Daila as the capital, renamed it Anglong, turning it into the political and cultural center of that. The image of a golden dragon rising from the river was not just an auspicious sign in legend but also reflected the inherent value of the structure built by Cao Bien, an enduring symbol of strength and development. Additionally, the then head of Annam also built embankments, dug canals, and improved infrastructure, bringing stability to a land frequently plagued by floods. These deeds, though not widely mentioned in history, are evidence of Cao Bien's contributions in Vietnam. Yet, this character was not as simple as it seemed. Do you remember I mentioned Cao Bien's interest in magic? Why did he venture into this path? Perhaps the origin of this passion stems from the era you lived in. A brilliant period, yet filled with superstitions and mysterious beliefs. Cao Bien grew up in a military family, but his soul was drawn to things beyond ordinary sight. It is said that he was well-versed in literature, knowledgeable in geography, and so obsessed with Feng Shui that he was almost fanatical. Bian Feng Zan Shang. The combination of sharp intellect and strong belief in the invisible world made him a unique figure, both practical and mystical. People claim that Cao Bien was secretly taught ancient esoteric techniques by Taoist hermits in deep mountains, where he learned to read earth veins and control spiritual energy. Lin Nam Trich Ki. His magical abilities, whether real or just products of folk imagination, became an inseparable part of Cao Bien's image, pulling him from the real world into a dreamy realm full of shadows. And from then on, stories of his extraordinary talents spread widely, like cold winds blowing through every village of the southern land. Cao Bien's magical talents in the eyes of the people were a kind of terrifying sorcery, both mesmerizing and savage. Lin Nam Trich Ki. He was believed to possess the ability to scatter beams into soldiers, chant spells, and turn them into ghost soldiers to serve his schemes. Cao Bien raises mountains. But when the magic was broken, the raised mountains became useless, collapsing like shadows within 3 days. These details, though fantastical, paint a picture of Cao Bien as immensely powerful, akin to a wizard. Not stopping there, he was also attributed with the ability to read Feng Shui with astonishing accuracy. Cao Bien Dia Li Tao Tu Kiu Tu. List hundreds of royal talent generating earth veins in Dao Kai, leaving later generations amazed to compare with history. Regardless of whether these talents were real, they turned him into a symbol of mystery. A person wielding supernatural power but also full of arrogance. It was this arrogance that led him to fierce confrontations, where his magic was tested as the spiritual energy of the southern land. According to rumors, Cao Bien's footprints covered all of Vietnam, from the Red River Delta to the mountains of Ninh Binh, where real locations are tied to his legendary stories. Mount Tan Vien, towering west of Tham Long, is said to be where he used dark arts to suppress the mountain god. But he only received contempt from the god riding a white horse on the clouds. The Delitzsch River, winding around the capital, witnessed the confrontation between him and the river god, where his bronze and iron talismans melted into dust before the god's wrath. Mount Gundu in Wa Lu, Ninh holds the story of the broken handle axe, where he was shot by the people, dyeing the mountain red with blood. The stone on the summit of Mount Dan, Bac Ninh, weighing over 50 tons, is believed to be a Feng Shui object to break the royal energy of the Fat Long area. Though attributed to unusual geological processes, people still whisper that it is a trace of Cao Bien, a futile effort to restrain the local spiritual energy. These locations, whether real or imaginary, are shrouded in a layer of mystery, where the wind howls through mountain gas, as if recounting tales of arrogant magic. And from these places, we delve deeper into the unique Feng Shui methods he left behind, full of boldness and mystery. Magic in Legends is a blend of cruelty and eerie sorcery, sending chills down the listeners. Lin Nam Chich Ki. Placing her on an altar as a sacrificial offering, a way to connect with the gods according to the customs of that time. He also used bronze and iron talismans, cast 1,000-pound iron statues, buried deep underground to lock her veins, as in the story by the Delitzsch River, where the iron statue vanished in thunder. At Mount Guncio, it is said he dug trenches to bury metal, filled altars to destroy spiritual energy, but all were futile efforts against the power of heaven and earth. These methods, though just folk tales, deeply engraved the image of a Cao Bien both talented and fearsome, one who dared to challenge even the gods in unimaginable ways. But this audacity plunged him into fierce confrontations, where his magic faced the indomitable will of the Vietnamese people. Angered by Cao Bien's arrogance, the southern gods made him suffer a series of setbacks and failures, as a warning against insulting the southern land. The confrontation between Cao Bien and the southern gods was a tragic drama, where his magic faced the supernatural power of heaven and earth. God Longgu stood on the Delitzsch River's surface, over 2 tons tall, in fluttering yellow robes, making him tremble as he declared no fear of his spells. God Tang Bien rode a white horse on the clouds, spat and left, as if his talents were not worth bothering with. At Mount Gundu, the heavenly god transformed into a Taoist, leading the people to shoot arrows, causing him to fall in agony, leaving curses echoing in the wind. These confrontations were not just battles between man and gods but also symbolized Cao Bien's helplessness against the southern spiritual energy. Every time he performed magic, every time he set up altars, it only earned him mockery from the unyielding gods. His arrogance led to inevitable failures, like a flame consuming itself in a storm of despair. And from there, we step into the stories of his defeats, where magic turned to dust before the national will. Cao Bien's failures in Vietnam are unhealed wounds, deeply carved into his legends. By the Delitzsch River, bronze and iron palaces melted into dust, leaving him in shame before the god's humble. On Mount Tang Dynasty, his bold rituals only Huan Lai contempt for the mountain god, making him lament that the southern vital energy could not be subdued. In Wa Lu, the thick-edged axe broke its handle, the mountain peak dyed red, as a warning that Vietnam was not a place he could dominate freely. Even the art of subduing dragon veins failed miserably when he acted prematurely, shaking the wisdom of an old water-selling woman. These stories are not just the collapse of magic arts, but also prove of our people's strength, where deities and humans blend to protect the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. No matter how talented Cao Bien was, he could not overcome the invisible wall of unyielding will. Each time he fell, he left behind a dark, hidden mark, leading us to the consequences of his magic, like a haunting blood shadow over the lands he once set foot on. The consequence of using failed magic was Cao Bien having to endure terrifying death curses. Legends say that places he suppressed, like the Lich River or Gunju Mountain, often carry a cold aura, filled with wind howls like resentful spirits. To Lich River, the once embracing Deities citadel, has become a symbol of gloom, where rumors of sacred objects and lost souls still echo. In Fujian, Cao Bian's tomb on a coastal hill is believed to be where spiritual energy was disturbed, so revered and feared by villagers. Mines, where Cao Bien. Yet, these stories also reflect the strength of Vietnamese culture, where any attempt to violate spiritual energy becomes meaningless. From these consequences, he gradually approached the final chapter of his life, where mystery and tragedy intertwine into a haunting ending. Cao Bien's final years were a blurry journey, like darkness swallowing the last glimmer of his former glory. After the failure in Annam, he was summoned back to the capital by Emperor Yizong of Tang, where the Tang court was sinking into chaos. Historical records say he was promoted, and gradually faded into obscurity amid political turmoil in the dynasty's decline. But Vietnamese folklore whispers a different story, that he did not return north but wandered south to Phu Yen, where he chose a coastal village to repent. There, he lived as a hermit, helping people survey land and build houses, as if trying to atone for his magical mistakes. Whether truth or legend, his final years carried a gloomy hue, like a cold wind blowing through the lands he once tread. People say Cao Bien often sat alone on the hill, gazing at the sea, his eyes dim with regret. Perhaps he realized that the magic he once arrogantly trusted had led him to the brink of tragedy. From those days, we enter his mysterious death, where truth and legend blend inseparably. Cao Bien's death is an unsolved mystery, like a thick fog obscuring the final light of his life. According to Chinese official history, he was executed by the court after returning from Henan, a cold end for a once illustrious meritorious official. But Vietnamese folklore recounts that he died in Phu Yen, buried by villagers on a coastal hill where his grave remains today. Legends say that on the night he died, a great storm arose, black clouds covered the sky, as if the deities of Vietnam came to collect the dead from his days of suppressing dragon veins. A thunderclap echoed, and he passed away in silence, leaving a simple grave amidst heaven and earth. That death, though filled with uncertainty, carries the breath of mystery, like a whisper from his realm. People say his ghost still lingers around the grave, his burning eyes gazing north, regretting a life of arrogance. This blurry ending opened the final consequences, where his magic left an indelible mark on later generations. Cao Bien's magical actions, though sunk into the past, still leave lingering ghosts in Vietnamese history and culture. His image as an evil sorcerer, a destroyer of dragon veins, has deeply ingrained in people's minds, overshadowing actual merits like Nila Citadel. Cao Bien Geography Legacy. In places he once suppressed, like the Lich River or Gundu Mountain, people still feel a cold aura, like a curse from 1,000 years ago lingering. These consequences are not just historical distortions, but also proof of Vietnamese culture's strength, where any attempt to violate spiritual energy is repelled. Cao Bien transformed from a Tang Dynasty meritorious official into one bearing centuries of unjust reputation, a ghost wandering between real and And from there, we close his story, with lessons still echoing in the wind. Cao Bien is like a cold wind blowing through history, leaving behind both great works and dark legends. From a Tang Dynasty meritorious official, he entered Vietnam with ambitions to control dragon banks, only to face failure before the unyielding spiritual energy of deities. Dialis Citadel, standing tall by the Lich River, is evidence of his talent. But the stories of pain-suppressing magic turned him into a ghost in the minds of later generations. Whether real or fictional, Cao Bian's story is a reminder of the power of heaven and earth and human will, where all arrogant ambitions vanish like smoke. And in the deep night, his name still echoes, but as a mystery never to be finally solved. Subscribe to Dark Truth Files channel to see the latest videos.